Getting started. Thank you. See you later. Bye, guys.
Yes, you're welcome to uh, transitioning into tech. I'm trying to get this sharing working properly. And yes, yes, so that's it. And so today we're talking about transitioning into tech. And first of all, I'd like to introduce myself. So my name is Emeka Oziri, and in partnership with Borderless Tech, we are having this discussion and transitioning into tech. I would like to briefly introduce about myself and what I do. So I regard to myself as a senior full stack developer, and I also major more in Laravel, React, TypeScript, Python, AI, and ML. And I have a master's in computer science. I enjoy mentorship and public speaking, such as this one. And I'm passionate about helping others pivot into the tech industry. Apart from this, I am a team leader in a company called YMM, where I build and develop their systems for them. A brief introduction about the organizers of this. It's well, YMM, what's it, Borderless Tech. Obviously, it's we're in a non-profit community right now, and no one's paying for this session. Literally, it's just everyone coming in and learning. And yes, it's a 3 4 week practical training. So at some point we'll get hands-on. So I hope you all are ready to see what we could achieve in this program. Yes, and also it's guided by industry standards, who and industry mentors and guest speakers. Well, I'm calling myself an industry mentor is me selling myself too much, but yes, all the programs organized by YMM has been handled by people who are well trained in their industry and know what they're talking about. So moving on to the most interesting bit, the changing world of tech and how things are done. So right now we're moving into automation, AI, digitalization, reshaping industries in an aspect of making work more faster, making work more efficient, more robust. Things that would take a longer time to do, it's now done much more faster. Particularly if you was in the Twitter space we had on Saturday, on Friday, we spoke about how, why transition into tech or why tech. And we did cover a few points about this specifics. And yes, of course, traditional jobs are evolving into tech enabled roles. In the meetup, in the Twitter space, we talked about how different sectors like agriculture, health are including tech in their industry. Yeah, you don't specifically need to do this because most research institutes and research programs are trying to, push more research into these industries where there is a need for tech to be incorporated because it makes life much more easier. In terms of production, machines are, increasing production rates, which in turn is lowering product costs as compared to paying people per hour or per month to handle repetitive tasks and all those bits. So yeah, traditional jobs are evolving, and it doesn't have to only do with machines. It's also with AI. It's also with whatever field you can talk about. If you're a teacher, for example, well, just imagine um, having an opportunity and to anchor your course or teach others, share your knowledge online with ed tech, which is a which is has been proven to be a very successful pattern of teaching people in the comfort of their homes. If you're a business owner as well, it's also time to look at the possibilities of using tech to drive more sales and make more money, of course, and cut new deals. Yeah. So yeah, that's a little bit about the traditional jobs and the projections of current job market. Another one is the global demand for tech talent is surging. Yes. So I think currently the world cannot have enough programmers, enough developers who are very skilled in what they are doing. And yes, literally, Amazon has over 50,000 employees in just the tech roles in just one country, and that's massive. And if you go to Indonesia, the US, the UK, they have offices situated as well. And literally, when I say tech, I don't mean specifically programming. Yes, because um, I think the scary part might be, oh, when you mention tech, you mean coding. Coding is part of it, but I believe it's just like 20% to 30% of it. Yeah, coding is the enabler of this automations, of this process, of the algorithms, that does things and make things work. But it's just 30 to 20 to 30% of it. There are other non-tech job or non-tech roles we will explore in this session. So, what would make us more successful in this 4 weeks class we are having? Well, I think most especially is having the mindset. I don't want to sound like a professional um, motivation speaker, but yes, success in tech is all about the mindset and not your background. So in the Twitter space we had, I did speak about most of the jobs I've ever had in my tech role wasn't based on my degree qualifications or say your master's. It has nothing to do with it. Mostly it's all about the skill. Degree and qualification might come in the future for a more seniority level, perhaps maybe towards CTO and managers or team leads. But I guarantee they could always bend the rules like 90% of the time. Well, especially in private firms and companies. It, it's not always mandatory that whoever is on the top must have a PhD. Literally, if you're on the top and you don't have domain knowledge and hands-on skills about how things work, you'd probably struggle in the tech industry to get to the top. So why now is the best time? Why are we talking about tech now, and why are we, you know, trying to get more people on board, motivate people on board? Well, currently we are in the best version of artificial intelligence tools and artificial intelligence models. There's never been a good time to join them now. There is Cloudy AI, there is ChatGPT, there is Grok. In fact, literally, you don't have to pay for a single cost to learn. I think what one needs is, yes, like I said in the previous slide, the mindset, the drive, and also a good mentorship, which myself and Borderless Tech is providing for free. So learning is more easier. The barrier to learning is reduced. And also, why we consider tech is also the flexibility. And so if our circumstances do not allow us to leave the home, tech is one of the good jobs. Well, if, for example, we would prefer remote roles, tech is a good line because literally you do not need physical contact. Well, the only physical contact you need, like in my case, is my keyboard. And there are also more opportunities out there in terms of the knowledge you learn in tech is the same in every part of the world. Like if you're in Indonesia, Sri Lanka, if you're in Bermuda and Africa, if you're in the UK, like myself, or if you're in Germany or Spain, well, I just ran out of country to mention, the knowledge is the same. Well, exclusive of countries that have specific language barriers. However, if I put my laptop down and I'm in Spain, I'll write the same code I'm writing right here as I would if I was in maybe Nigeria or if I was in the UK as well. So the concept of programming stays the same. The programming language, all developers, all programmers speak almost the same language. There is no top-up course for tech. So I had a friend who was saying something in the tone of when nurses come to the UK, they have to do top up or they have to do other courses, you know, for them to start working and get that pin. Well, we don't do that here. It's the same knowledge you have, you bring it on the table. It typically revolves around your good understanding of what you're doing and your problem solving skills. Well, again, problem solving doesn't generally means writing code, and we'll get to that in a bit. So the common myths about tech, which I had explained in the previous slide, is oh, you need a computer science degree. You don't. My bachelor's was in electrical electronics engineering, and I learned tech on my own, self-taught. And yes, most of the jobs I've applied, and also most of the jobs I secured a contract, either when I was a freelancer or either when I was working full time in the company. There was never a time I was asked for my degree. And some people also say, oh, it's too late to start. I'm 30 years and I have kids. I have a job, or it's September or October, it's almost December. I don't think I can. Well, to me, it's not applicable to tech. The best time to start is now. And the reason B is because of the flexibility of the tech ecosystem. In tech in particular, right, there is always a launch of a new tool, a new language, a new framework, and a new library. Some people, like this is the key secret. Some seasoned developer get stuck or trapped in that one language or framework they are very good at. And when I mean language, I mean programming language. Now I'm speaking in specifics of software developers. So say, for example, I write PHP or I write Python, and with the movement of things, there is a new introduction of a new programming language that I need to learn. The problem there is some people don't want to improve, and that's an opportunity for newcomers. Basically, the story I'm telling is there's always an opportunity to join. Some people are old in their ways or stuck in their ways, and you can come. This guy knows PHP from 10 years, and the job market is no longer using PHP. He's here. He doesn't want to go further because he feels, well, I've had enough of learning and building and solving problems. And you were this guy, you knew, you right here, you're like, hey, look, I could learn this new one. I don't have to learn this old one this guy has learned. And when you learn this new one, you are in top of the league. Well, it's a stat. Curiosity, consistency, and community matter most. Needless to say, the old guy needs to be curious, needs to be consistent in the community. Doctors, for example, have to write exams. Can't remember how periodic they do that, but it looks like probably every year or every 2 or 3 years. And this is because, of course, like every industry, to make sure they are updated with the new information and they're capable of doing what they have to do, also with the safety and policy standards. Well, for the tech role, we don't write exams, but trust me, you are challenged every day with a new problem. And your ability to solve that problem really tells if you keep your job or not. And that would make tech interesting, in my opinion. So, community matters. Community such as this one is a lovely place to be. You stay updated with the latest technology, the latest involvement, because it happens real fast, I tell you. And it's one good thing being in the industry where you're changing lives and you're building things to change the world, and you're in the community where you can contribute to it. And before someone talks about chat GPT having being good, being very intelligent, you say, well, I know, I know, right? That's the thing. And not just because you know how it works. And all it could take is time. You could probably build yours. Well, I don't know about the marketing side. I'm not a digital marketer, but definitely you could build yours. And there's so much knowledge, like we say, in the previous slide. There is so much. Um, it's a good time because there is so much access to knowledge than there is doing the time I learned and the time some other seasoned developer learned. Now, again, I was saying when I talk about tech in particular, I wasn't specifically saying coding, programming, software engineers, and software developers. I'm literally talking about everything tech. And what are the roles there is in tech? There is software development, there is data and AI, there is cybersecurity, there's product and design, there's cloud and DevOps, and much more. One good thing to add to this list is system administrator. It's still a tech role. Well, if you are a data analyst, well, it falls under data and AI. Well, if you are a customer service operator or a customer success operator, whichever the best word job title is, you are also into tech. Yes, so I think it's not time to get into the most interesting bits. Software development, data and AI, cybersecurity, product and design, cloud and DevOps. I want you to take your time to look at this 5 blocks we have here, and for a split second, think about what one incites you, like excites you. Say, for example, cybersecurity makes sense because you probably have heard about it. I think that's where it's all starts. That's where the joy of wanting to get into tech all starts from. Cybersecurity interests you because you like to be cybersecurity specialist. Well, it could start from there, just the name, and we never can know what that road could take you to. Or perhaps data and AI. I'm a data scientist, or I know about a lot about data, or I could sort data really fast. I could do multiplications really fast. I know a lot of formulas. I know compound interest formulas. I know ratios. I know geometries. I know trigonometries, and all those bits. I think I love numbers. Data and AI could be for you because literally, when I speak about AI, I'm not speaking about ChatGPT, not from a concrete tech perspective. I'm talking about writing AI models that actually work. And to write AI models, you have to work with data. You have to train the models. You have to build the models, host the models, test and validate the models. And trust me, it has more mathematics than you think of. Well, not to scare anyone. Also, for software development, you're like, oh, software. Is that the one you install on your computer or the ones you install on your MacBook or Windows or the one on your phone? Could it be mobile application? Could it be websites? Could it be desktop applications? Could it be integrated systems? The ones integrated in things like Medicare, or perhaps in your washing or drying machine, perhaps, or well, in your smart TVs. These are softwares that could incite you as well. Product and design. Well, I kind of like colors. I like the way shapes. I could play with shapes. I could play with inks, and I have this vivid imagination to create things. And when I do, no one does it better than me. That's you for you. That's the role for you. Product and design. And oh, I like to be on the seat. I like to see how things work. I like to be at the point where I understand the orchestration of the systems. Literally, a software developer writes, a data analyst or an AI engineer does his thing, a cybersecurity professional makes sure the systems are safe and secure, creating policy, a product designer design, DevOps and cloud engineer make sure all of these people and all of this work works hand in hand in a network infrastructure. Now, I'll take us to another slide where I will do a more in-depth explanation of the jobs and the job roles of this guy. I'm also going to break it down into a more elaborate example. So, developers build and maintain software applications. Designers shape user experience and interface aesthetics. And data analysts and scientists transform data into actionable insights. Cybersecurity experts protect systems and sensitive information by creating policies that governs a company, an organization, a country, a nation, procedures, research, whatever. That's what a cybersecurity expert does. A product manager, yes, product managers are also into tech. They define vision, strategy, and feature priorities. Well, permit me to deep dive into project management a little bit. With project management, it's basically it has a lot of samples or a lot of example category in their field. There is product management in tech, and there is project management in general, as there is project management in engineering and infrastructures. Well, specifically, project management is quite broad, as it is cybersecurity, data analysts and scientists and designers and developers, but I'll come back to that in a bit. We'll go over the list again and do justice to them. DevOps engineers, like I said, they streamline deployment and system reliability. So DevOps is someone who makes sure when you access Facebook, you always access it. It's available in any country where the laws permits it. Perhaps in South Korea, North Korea, let's say you don't have access to Facebook. The DevOps engineers make it so in both ways. The DevOps engineer in Facebook will prevent Facebook from working in North Korea, as well as the DevOps engineer of maybe informations and technologies in the system or in the ministry in that country will prevent Facebook from working too. So it's a two-way thing. But that's not the only thing they do because, yes, of course, ethical consideration is also important in this line of work. The DevOps engineer makes sure that when Facebook pushes an update, you don't have to particularly log out of that app. Or sometimes they make decisions towards whether or not you need to update the app to use the feature or whether or not it's going to be a push-in upgrade. A push-in upgrade is minimal. That is literally sometimes you could open your app and you find out that you didn't update it, neither did App Store ask you to update it, but you find out that the features are updated. So yes, it's part of this orchestration tools that although there is an on-the-fly update, but it's one of the most simple ways to explain DevOps engineering. There's something called continuous integration and continuous deployment. Continuous integration is still part of the DevOps work, engineering work. They make sure that once you are integrating new features in an application, it is continuous. It doesn't stop the function of the app. Continuous deployment is to make sure when they're deploying a new version of the app, if users perhaps needs to reset their password, it prompts them. It tells them. If users needs to log out and log in again, it also does that because the deployment it's going to be constant most times for production grade apps. Well, a lot of about DevOps is really an interesting job line, and trust me, it has a bit of code, but also more about an overall visualization or understanding about how system works. And part of the people that fit in DevOps are system engineers. That's mostly the roles, or system architecture engineers as well. Quality assurance engineers. Yes, so they ensure product quality and performance, just like the DevOps, but they're more towards testing. So some of them write tests, and some of them does test manually. Some of them create frameworks to test an application. They're software testers. And if you go on LinkedIn and search for the role software testers, it's well, it's one of the most not less technical role to have, because literally when development has been made and deployment has been made, we need people to stress test the system to make sure if the system is going to fail, it fails now. Okay, and then we have support and success team. Well, so the role of the support and success teams is to help users ensure smooth adaptation of the app. So they go through it. They go through markets, they go through data's gathered, they run analysis, and they can tell if a UI UX is bad, if the people aren't using the new feature, should be taken out or not. And they also go towards the customer support and compliant and complaints as well as compliant as well. So picture yourself as a customer service in this specifics. And yes, it's also a tech and client role. For example, I knew a friend who used to work in Microsoft under the support and success teams. What happens is if companies had the full Microsoft package, for example, MS365, and they're having an issue with SharePoint, because for some weird reasons, maybe SharePoint isn't giving files in accordance to the access level they've added. He makes sure he gets them through. Sometimes it could be their license has been revoked or invalidations or catch. He guides them through, or he says, "Go. Are you using the Windows or using a Mac?" It tells them sometimes if you could offer PECs, or are you aware that you're eligible for a 20% discount in your company subscription? All you have to do is, all of those bits. So they also have to have a technical knowledge about how things work. And yes, we would go towards another thing, something very interesting, the career progression in tech. So we've talked about the different roles: software development, data and AI, ML, cybersecurity, product and design, cloud and DevOps, a career progression. I also fail to mention that as there is high level of what I call it, employment bureaucracy in other roles, so there is in tech. There is a senior, junior, mid-level, team lead, manager, CTO. And one would wonder, how long would it take me to get or become a senior? Or can I call myself a senior? Well, literally, you can't call yourself a senior, but you can be promoted or awarded a senior position. You can also assess yourself to be a senior, and that's the beautiful thing about this role, or a team leader. Well, it depends on the qualities and a true self-reflection of one's capabilities, strengths, and skills. So in the next slide, we're going to talk about the career progression there is. So picture yourself. I'm going to do something real quick. I'm going to take this slide back and I'll take it forward because we need to get a clearer picture. Picture software development, picture data and AI, picture cybersecurity, product design, cloud and DevOps as entry level or intern, has junior developer or analyst, has mid level or professional, has senior, has team lead, or tech lead, and has engineering manager and architect. So those roles, senior software development, AI and data, cybersecurity, they'll have the same level of, you know, professional bureaucracy or hierarchy you would have in your normal day-to-day job. So an entry or intern is typically someone who is new to the industry. He knows what tech is all about. He knows the skills he needs to learn to get hands-on in the job. He can do some things, but what he does is not strong enough to be placed in production or classed as a production grade application, a production grade analyst, a production grade cybersecurity policy created, a production grade user interface or user experience development, or production grade continuous integration or continuous development in terms of cloud and DevOps, cloud computing and DevOps. So he knows basic programming. He's curious. Is he joins in teamwork. He knows version control. He learns tools, assist in tasks, and shadow the senior staff. So, and that goes to the second level, which is a junior developer or a junior analyst. You know, basically, the way I wrote this wasn't specifically for coding, and that's why I have an option for where you have a slash, where we have a junior developer slash analyst. So a junior developer implements small features, right? Clean code, debug. Literally, if you're a junior in your company, there is a standard of expectations. Now, why I say 1 to 3 years, I might be wrong, but I gave a timeline because I was trying to include other roles in job specification. The time it takes to move from entry to junior in cloud computing and especially cybersecurity is not the same as a developer. Trust me, typically in an organization, you can move from entry to senior in 3 years. So this 1 to 3, 0 to 1 you're seeing is a spectrum, and it's always based on individual goals. Some people are driven, some people want to get there quickly, and it's a very interesting thing to do. And some people literally takes it one step at a time while they enjoy a good life, work-life balance. I'm not saying people who get there fast doesn't, but literally it's a skill. For a mid-level professional, their own models to collaborate across teams. What I mean collaborate across teams is, take for example, a DevOps who is a DevOps professional or a mid-level. He could be given the responsibility to make sure that when you want to add a friend on Facebook, it asks you if you know this person. And if it feels like you don't know this person enough, it's going to restrict you from adding that person as a friend in terms of some specific features. Now, in DevOps, he does not know how the engineers behind the scene made that to work. He's going to collaborate with the software developers, with the policymakers, perhaps the cybersecurity specialist or professional who made that as a principle for the organization. He's going to collaborate with them to make that work. So at this time, he knows a bit across various organizations or various departments in the organizations. So for the tech role, it's more about a good understanding about system designs, system methodology designs. And when we talk about system designs is basically they are different. There's monolithic and there is microservices. Well, I'm not going to go deep into the technicalities, but monolithic meaning having all your system in one place, one big box. Microservices is having your system in smaller boxes and then connecting them to work hand in hand. Well, again, I could go into it, but I think there's still much to talk about, and I'll leave that for the profession, the more future bits, because, like I said, it's mid level, and I'm trying to decompress the amount of information I'm giving, so it's not boring. The mid level also participates in documentation, writing things down, things achieved, minutes, notes. He writes the process an organization achieves things. And also, a mid-level participates in collaboration. We see the two difference between mid-level, a genuine and intern. A mid-level is not expected to document things, neither is, sorry, a junior is not expected to document things, neither is an entry level, because really at that point, they can't trust the excellence or the superiority of his work, and that's totally fine. A junior is not expected to develop application programming interface, which is API, because at that point, well, again, and also a junior is not expected to foster collaboration, because at that point, he perhaps need to develop that people skill. And same going forward, senior. A senior is an architecture solutionist, or whatever you could call it, but he ensures quality and leads sprints. Now, if you're applying for jobs, just make sure you understand the core responsibilities, because if you say you're a senior and your CV is not saying showing that you led the development, you led the orchestration, you ensure good delivery, good quality standards, professional skills, and a professional quality in production grade application, or you led sprints, well, perhaps you need to review that. The idea there is seniors are mostly to mentor and guide. They're very important in the organization because a senior set the standards for both entry level and junior developers, and also mid level developers. For example, if we was to start building a product right now, the seniors would be the ones to have the meet with the team lead. They start the boiler code, they set the foundation, and then they apportion tasks to mid-level and juniors and entry levels. Mid-level own a big tax. They leave the most smallest tiny crumbs for the juniors because, well, they're still coming up. And also, the juniors leave whatever is left for the entry. So it goes in that way. Most organizations are expected to have this order of hierarchy for a smooth company operation, even if the company is just a four-man gang or a 15-man gang. There must be senior, junior, developer, and junior, senior, and mid-level, especially in companies like in the UK where there's supposed to be organization structure. Yes. So at least everyone knows if I have an issue, if I'm stuck somewhere in my code, I could run to the senior. He unblocks me as well. Now, again, when you are a senior, you write less, you mentor more, you lead more. You what is called retrospective meetings. You're on what is called one-on-ones. You have one-on-ones with people to know if they're happy with your job, they're where they want to be. You set goals with other teammates. You foster collaboration. If there is any misunderstanding, you are the one to go, we need to work hand in hand. Or you are the one to decide, I need to take you off this project. Or you are the one to decide, well, that is not going to work. We need to take it off. So that's what a senior does. So in part of the skills and focus areas, you should have to call yourself, assess yourself a senior. Well, again, it's one thing to assess and it's one thing to be promoted as a senior. So in company, you end that position by promotion, which always comes with an official later. That's all. You get promoted. That's how you get promoted mostly in tech roles. You get a later saying that. You could always present that later in any organization that you was a senior developer. Well, mostly you don't have to, but in your LinkedIn profile, if it says that, your interview is going to be based on design patterns, optimization, leadership skills. and DevOps, basically. And yes, you've got to ace your interview. So, oops, sorry. So while we can self-assess, we also need the skill as well. And yes, it could take you 1 to 3 years to be a senior. I don't know how much it would take to be a senior cybersecurity professional, but I know it's longer, and that's why there is this gap. There is this 5 to 8 to cover for it. It could take you that much long to be an AI or ML engineer, but I'll tell you something, right? Not to scare anyone. A mid-level developer earns as much as a junior or a senior would earn based on the organization. If you're working in Meta or in Amazon, which you earn will be quite different from what if you're working with the company, for example, in I don't know, not mentioning names, no shaming any company with smaller pays, but literally it's that way. And also your pay is always based on value. If you do well in the company, like most company in the UK, you always get a salary raise or salary review for private firms because they've definitely companies do appreciate them. Now, even if you're a mid-level developer, you could be paid as much as what a senior developer would be paid, but actually without the promotion title of being a senior developer. And that happens most of the time because most company might not have that position available for senior developers. I don't know if this perhaps makes sense, but I'll proceed. So team lead or tech lead. So they guide teams, manage workflows, aligns tech with the business goals, communicate with other stakeholders, and also participate in mentorship and architecture in terms of delivery. For example, we have the agile delivery, we have the waterfall, we have Prince 2 for project management, and the rest. When you are a team lead or tech lead, you probably will be writing code once or, or twice in a week or in a month or in a year. You probably would barely have to. In fact, the only time you'd have to write code is if there is no one else to do it. Literally, it's the job of seniors to do, and it's the job of mid levels and juniors to do as well. The senior developer reports to, well, not only developer, senior engineer, senior cybersecurity analyst, senior data science scientist or AI engineer or senior product designer reports to the team lead or tech lead. Well, so the team lead manages the senior. They have their one-on-ones with the senior. They have the retrospect. Oh, we didn't do well. So it's called retrospectives, right? Retrospective meetings. We didn't do well. We didn't deliver on time. We're not meeting the sprint. What's happening? Is there someone slacking? Do you want to speak to the rest of the team and make sure we're all good? Then the senior takes up, start booking meetings with everyone. Are we good? Do you need help? You sure? Do you want to be taken off this team to another team? And that's how it flows. And the engineering manager or the architect is perhaps like the CTO, define technical visions, define business policies in terms of how the operations should be managed. He oversees multiple projects. He checks on this project. When the engineering manager comes, he's not there to check if everyone is writing Python or PHP. He's there to check, okay, we have this sprint. We achieved it. How long do we have? Okay, I'm going to tell the stakeholders it's going to take 2 more months. Make sure you deliver on that 2 months. All right, take it. Bye. You were the team lead. You were supposed to lead this project. You didn't lead this project properly. I'm gonna take you off the team. That's them. Sometimes it could be, well, the engineering manager, the team lead, are not as kind to the seniors as they would to be entry, junior, and mid-level. And it all boils down to stakeholders communication. And that's totally fine. The engineering manager sees money as time as money. The team lead sees, you know, organization and prospect towards achieving things. The senior sees I have to manage these people. The mid-level sees, well, I think I'm doing well. I'm getting there. And the junior sees, well, I don't know if this is good enough. And the entry says, I don't know what I'm doing here. Well, so it goes that way. I'm just trying to explain the organization process. And yes, it could be as fun as that. And also sometimes um, one-on-one meetings could be also very um, annoying thing to have. Now, transitioning into the non-coding roles in tech, there's project management, there's quality assurance, like I said, there's UI, UX, well, UX, and there's technical sales, and there's customer service. Project management is more of a people skill, but regardless, you do it with a computer and laptop, and you have to have an idea about technology to a large extent, whether you are project management in general, handling projects like in manufacturing or warehouse company, you are handling their project. Literally, you are into tech. If you are project management in engineering, if they have constructions, you handle all how many engineers do we need on the site, what time, what meetings do we have with different engineers, with the structural engineer to ensure the quality of the work and all those things. And they gather all this information and they give to the quality assurance team. Quality assurance team calls on and check, oh, okay, we're using two engineers to do this project, like software developers, or 50, we need to make them 60, for example. So they also check that, oh, we developed this, but it's not going to suffice. It's not going to be standard, or it doesn't meet with the regulations. We need to get a lawyer. We need to discuss with a lawyer real quick and see how we can meet to ethical standards, or what I say what licenses for operations do we need to meet in terms of policies. For example, in the UK, there's GDPR policy. So then make sure that SQL to deployment or after the, because it's two ways. If in the engineering world, in the tech world specifically, when you build a project, you pitch this idea to whichever license or operation teams there is out there. You pitch it to them and say, oh, I want to build a software that helps handle the healthcare industry. A small device we want. We have patient records and all those things, or perhaps maybe in a hospital, people could book appointments. The NHS could use it, or private doctors could use it, or we have our own client. You pitch these ideas to them, they give you the requirement. You look at it whenever you're building, you go and check, are we in this quality of standard? That's what the quality assurance also do. And then EHAC's question. How are we saving people data? Are we letting them know how we save their data? Is in accordance to the government. For example, in terms of safeguarding reports, the government requires that that report is being saved in your database for as much as 75 years until deletion. So if you delete it before that, that's your problem. Well, the quality assurance engineer or person ensures that that doesn't really happen. And that is in retrospect to tech and building and technology in particular. In engineering, it might be different. It might be health and safety, making sure that everyone have an high vis vest, making sure everyone has a boot, making sure everyone has an helmet, and all those things. But it doesn't just stop with the going to sites. He's not going to sites. He's making sure on the computer that the company is delivering 100 high vis vests and 100 boots to everyone. He's making sure that everyone on the field is qualified and trained. He's checking the background. Do they have any criminal history? We don't want anyone who is, you know, perhaps who has certain criminal history to get on board this project for specific reasons. He's also checking that their qualifications they are using to do that job, which is also required by the government, that everyone who does this job is trained and qualified and has all the required skills and knowledge. They're making sure that they are good to go. So it's a very interesting role. It's a people skills as well. It requires a bit more about the understanding of the domain of the business. Yes. But one thing we can do as well to get more insight about The required skills for all of these non-tech roles is to go on LinkedIn and search for quality insurance. And then you see the various types they have. And you read at the description, it tells you what skill sets you need to hone to be able to be confident to apply for those jobs. The next one is UX designer. Before we launch a project or a product could be a laptop, could be a toothbrush, could be, well, a monster to make me have a gut. I'm by no means making any advertisement for Monster, just tasty. A project could be any of that. The other side, the design, in terms of what is expected in the market trends, and also their stakeholders. A user of the application is a stakeholder. If the application is to be made for people who are visually impaired or who have hairy, impairments or any of those sorts, they have to design the system to follow that accord. If it is for a more technical or people, like for example, banks, there is no tutorial on how to use a bank app, literally. They are focused on you getting on the app and making payment as soon as possible. For the toothbrush, literally, the design of toothbrush has never changed. The handles though have changed. The quality of the brush have changed. The quality of the kind of stripes that looks like wig or plastic small thingy on it has changed. They've now toothbrushes with batteries on it so you could press. But literally, it's all of the user experience you have using this product. It's not just tech, it's generalized. So they have a more foresight understanding about the technicalities as well. They don't know how to code, and you mustn't try to code under this role. If you're someone who say, "Well, I hate coding and I can't code to save my life," literally, UX design is for you. Also, there's also UI design. Why I said UX is literally it cut across a key aspect of different job roles we've mentioned in the past. UI design as well works. There is a version of UI UX that writes code, but not really that technical code. We call them the front end developers. All right. So when I did mention the software development role, there is back end, there is front end. Well, the front end, we have the UI UX. And what those people does is after the UI designer design, keywords and design, they don't write code. The UI designer design a website or application. The front end developer takes this design and converts it to actual code, but with less technicalities as it would be for a backend developer. This is under the software development. So the backend developer handles all the business logic. If you've ever wondered how do you open your Facebook application, close it, or Twitter or Snapchat, close it, and then come back to it, how does it still recognize and makes you still log in? And why is it so that your bank app, the moment you close it, you have to log in again? All of those security measures, the business logic of transferring from one person to another, converting your currencies, and making sure that the conversion rate sticks and is current is the back end. When you open your Snapchat, your Facebook, or your bank app, what you basically see is the front end. Before you could click on a place and navigate to profile or click and get that when you like a Facebook, it was a picture. It was a picture on a laptop. And that picture, you could call it a picture or a diagram, is being created by the UX team. Technical sales, literally, it's just more about sales. And I'm not a salesperson, so I'll skip that. But it's worth mentioning. Customer success, I have mentioned this before. And so I'll move on to the next, which is self-assessment. Your starting point. And yes, we're almost coming to the end of the meet gradually. Identify your transferable skills, align your interest with your tech paths. If you're a teacher, you could go into ed tech designer or ed tech. And ed tech is literally, like I said, bringing technology to teach people on the internet. You could make money from it, literally. You could also be self employed. You could sell courses and tutorials online as well. If you're a fashion designer, you could start an online e-commerce for your business or for businesses in general. Literally, you could have the tech idea and don't have to write code. What is even more profitable is having an understanding about how these things work and how you can use them in your business from day to day. My journey and lessons I've learned. The key turning point for me is understanding the power of community, the power of structured mentorship. It's also understanding you can't do this alone. No matter how you try to, if you're an extrovert, well, kind of, but the tech role is more basically for people who are willing to learn and who are willing to get into communities. There's still introverts, you know, who really don't like to talk and mingle or make friends. And yes, it's fine. They don't have to be a part of a community. But if your goal is to get promoted and get to the hierarchy of your career, you can't do that mostly being an introvert. Because if you were to own or to hone a meeting with part of the stakeholders, with seniors, like how would you do that? How would you have a one-on-one with someone below you if you can't, relate with people? So mentorship is important. It tells you, mentorship lets you know what you should focus on and what you shouldn't. And it saves a lot of time. Because during my time, I was learning a lot of skills. Oh, you could be like myself. I was one of the developers who would see HTML is out, I'm going to learn. CSS is out, I'm going to learn. Go is out, I'm going to learn. Flutter is out, Flutter. And you can't boast of just one project, one life you've touched, one business you improved, or one business you've led the growth with that particular skills you spend so much time learning, because it takes time to learn these things, doesn't it? Some mistakes I've made, those are it was lesson learned the hard way. Pick one and focus. How do you know you've chosen the right one? One thing I tell people is, based on the current location you are in, say you were in Dubai, you're in Nigeria, you're in the UK, or you're in the US, that specific one you picked, be confident in it, that it will work. Well, how do you get confident? You do your research. You go on LinkedIn, you go on Indeed, you go on Glassdoors, you check this. Fortune 500 companies. I started with that first. What technology skills is Fortune 500 companies looking for? Not because I want to work in a Fortune 500 company, not because I want to work in LinkedIn or Meta or Facebook or Amazon, because they set the standards for other organization. If you were a cybersecurity specialist or professional, if you're a data scientist as well, when you go to the job descriptions of these Fortune 500 companies, they'll tell, oh, for a project management, for example, we need you to have Prince2 certification. You need to have a good understanding of TDD, development methodologies and practice. We need you to have a good understanding of agile development and practice, waterfall development and practice. You have to have Scrum certification from a certified Scrum organization. Now you check, do I have this? No, I have to get it. Do I have this? No, I have to get it. Now you have when you go do your assignments and get them, which might literally take means maybe taking one or two courses, apart from knowing what you're doing, just taking the courses to make sure that you are fully prepared to land a good job, a job in a company whose requirement is not as high as what a Fortune 500 company would require. And the good part is when you keep checking these boxes over time, There is no job you wouldn't be able to apply for. And you don't even need to lie to apply that. You don't even have to say, oh, I know this without you knowing it because you've done your research and you've gotten the required qualifications and certifications. Most roles require certifications, most roles doesn't. In software development, I told you, I never had to present a degree. In project management, I know you required mostly to have Prince 2 or Scrum certification or Agile development certification or the tools that tone. I also know that in cybersecurity, you might need CompTIA as well. And I know that in DevOps and cloud computing, you would need Zero AWS and Google GCP, Google Cloud Platform certifications, which is probably like around 100 quid, £100, something in the tone of $150. Or you would need, well, there is a lot of them, basically. But like I said, I'm talking, and I was saying Azure, I was saying Google, I was saying Princeton, Scrum. These organizations, like I say, set the standards. Now imagine you need your certificates to apply for other roles. Then, so imagine if you go on your job description, get the requirements. Sorry for that. And a place where it says skills and requirements, or what you would bring. Mostly is written in that tone, and then you can pick this and get them. It's lovely. Now, this information I'm sharing, like the many others I've received, is the power of mentorship and engaging in public discussion. So that's why I say you don't want to isolate yourself. And yeah, if you're a fan of books and quotes, it's also one of the rules in the 48 laws of power. Isolation is not recommended in this line of field. I'll move on to the next, which is how to learn effectively. Now, in part of the terrible things I did when I was learning, apart from learning a whole lot and not implementing them or not using them to build or not using just that one to find a job, was also staying too much in tutorials. You know, is a very terrible thing to do now because literally most people without technical skills could ideally code. Well, it looks like they could code. Well, some of them could. Well, and some of them are trying and getting to understand what coding is and how to do it. Someone without a technical skill could take a file, put it on a server, make corrections using AI. Now imagine you're trying to learn the basics of perhaps JavaScript and it's taking longer. Companies are moving faster with roles. They need someone who is fast, who is delivering, because now companies are not restricting you from joining with AI, starting as when you join a role, companies now are welcoming you to tell you use AI. So that's showing a trajectory that's showing you have to be fast. So if you were to learn, for example, in software development, take 2 to 3 months to finalize all the things you need to learn and start learning in public, which is the second stage. Look at what others are doing in GitHub, in LinkedIn. Look at your profile, what are they developing? Look at the company you like to work with. What language are they using? You mustn't really apply for that company and work with them. But there are always going to be several companies like that. If there's Money Points, there's Kuda, there's OPay. And if you could know what it would take to be a project manager in OPay, or data analyst in OPay, or an AI ML engineer in OPay, look at the individual profile of people working in that organization, look at their skill set, look at what it would take you to get that skill set, what certifications you might need, and look at how you could validate that you are good enough in that role by taking tests, taking quizzes, taking personal exams. Literally, you could tell ChatGPT, I want you to test how good I am in programming or in project management. Ask me questions, ask me interview questions, prepared. Now the third one is build small, fail fast. And this is mostly specific to software developers. You could learn React in 2 months, in 1 month. You could learn AI and ML in 2 to 3 months. Well, it's not really like much easier said than done, but if you have a job already, it's not going to be easy because perhaps it's mostly going to be your spare times and weekends. Most people would rather spend times and weekends with their families. But yeah, start small. When you've learned in public, you've known how things are done, what skills are required, you can start a project because you can now visualize. You can now speak to a software developer because you understand what they do and how they do business and how business has been conducted in your domain, whichever domain, software, product management, cloud security, I don't know. When you are good with that, pick out a small session of the practical implementation in that field and do it. So basically, like in Facebook, picture how you're able to send friend requests from one person to another and try to implement it. There are two ways. If you implement with AI, you're not going to fully understand. And you might also implement, but it's more beyond implementation at an organization level. And I don't mean to scare you. It has to do with code quality, structure, organization principles and policies. Organization will have a way they define variable, organize our folders. You have to do that. Well, at this point, we're not worrying about that. We just want us to pick maybe how you send a message on Facebook and someone is able to receive it real time. Demystify that, how you were able to request for a delivery on Uber or Uber Eats and it comes to you at a specific location, or it tells you where the driver is at, or it keeps on tracking the driver from your point to their point. Is it a GPS on their car, or is it just their mobile phone is using to track them as well as it is to track in tracking you? Now, the point there is in all of this is that trying to build small to fail fast exposes you to a lot about how things are done and specific industry standards there is. The moment every time you uncover something is a new skill, it's just like a new level unlocked. It's just like, oh, you know how to do it, and then there was a shiny box. Like, well, I don't know how I know how to do this now. So it's a continuous process. So if you would want to be a software developer like myself, this is the roadmap. Beginners to intermediate, that's the junior. To mid-level as well, intermediate mid-level, I mean, from beginners to mid-level, that's entry to mid-level, you probably need to learn HTML. It should take you 1 to 2 months to do that. You probably need to learn CSS. Well, it should take you 2 weeks to do that. Now, why I say HTML will take you 1 month, literally, you can do it in 1 week. I did, but yeah, it's the beginning stage. If you could learn fast, literally, it should take you, I'll tell you honestly, not less than 1 week. But if your circumstances does not prevail, do not be scared to take 1 month in learning it. Now go to CSS. If you learn fast, you don't have a 9 to 5 job, you're really looking at exploring, or you have spare times in the evening and you're in control of your time, you don't have a you don't have a place literally to spend that much time and you want to learn a new skill, you can do this in 1 week. But actually, if you do, let's take CSS for another 2 weeks. JavaScript, I'd say take JavaScript for 1 month. In this category I'm having in my head, for someone who's busy, I'm having 3 months. For someone who's not busy, I'm having 1 month for HTML, 1 week for HTMLs, 1 week for CSS, and 3 weeks for JavaScript. So 3 months for who's busy, 1 month for who has a lot of time. And React, I'll tell you, learn React for 1 month. And then API development, which is an encapsulation of what is called backend development, I would say it might take you 3 months to not just know what you're doing, but be confident, be capable of taking an idea from inception to production. Meaning, if Ogawale, for example, comes and says, I want you to build a thing for my business. I can't have the right word, but I know in my business, whenever a customer chases something, I want to send them a gift, but I don't have the word. You are, oh, I know what you mean. You need a reward system. It's like that's it. And that's sometimes the much information you could get from a CTO or a tech lead. That's the most information. Then go on the laptop and just try to start to brainstorm. Some of them are non-technical, I tell you. You start to brainstorm and they don't have the good idea of how it works under the hood. No one cares how it works under the hood. They need to they need result, they need deliveries. And you go to your PC and you make a good specification for yourself because you need to do it. Like mid-level, I told you the document, and for the company. And then you bring it to the company that, oh well, this is good though. That's how you end your promotion anyways. If you were able to push that and it goes successful, you get the promotion. Sometimes you get the packs, the salary increments, and the rest. So 3 months, 2 months. I'm also going to show us places where we can learn this in our next slide. Where can you learn this? Free Code Camp. Well, I'm talking about, I'm not affiliated to any of this. Coursera is there, YouTube is there, Udemy is there, and local mentoring communities like the one Ogawale is organizing. I believe there are sections for us to learn code. There is an AI group Ogawale has organized for Border Tech and its members. I can't tell personally now if it's paid or free, but I know it's what giving it a try. It's what seeing what it is. I think there's also an option for personal one-to-one mentorship as well, which it's rare to get these days for a quality price. I believe, I don't know again if it is free or paid, but I believe either of the two will suffice. Now, if you don't want borderless tech, like I say, there is no promotional referrals. There's Udemy. Myself, I've also had my courses in Udemy. I had a total of 18,000 students and over 100 plus review where I teach people tech in particular. And yes, some of the courses are outdated, some of them needs to be updated. And that's one thing you should watch about. When learning tech, make sure you learn the updated ones and let go of the outdated ones. Don't watch a tutorial that is literally, that's why we're talking about tech right now. Just listen to this because it's going to be interesting, please. Don't learn a tutorial that's 2024 old, like literally 2024, any tutorial made before the, don't watch any of them. Well, you can if you know what you're doing. But the reason I'm saying this is that we are in the most critical point of AI now, and I can't seem to preach more about that. And if you are possibly, and there is so much updates going on, systems are improving, security measures are improving. If you learn a course from a course that's 2020, you could get legacy knowledge, you could get structured knowledge, you could get good understanding. But in terms of like what is needed right now, it might fail you. And you might struggle to reconstruct your mind towards, oh, how does how does a particular algorithm works, or should I use this cryptographic method to hash information from users, or how does PII works, or is there's a new GDPR rule and regulation that prevents you from storing informations, your users information on the browser or anywhere. And if you do, you have to tell them you do, which of course you have to. But I see that in previous tutorial, people are storing informations in local storage, and that's you creating a lawsuit for yourself, literally. And if you're not telling your customers, and if you are doing, even if you're telling your customers, you're still in trouble because you have to protect customers' information by every means. And so if you stolen the information in locals, like when I mean information, it could be email and name, just as to your phone number. If you're storing anything that has to do with the person information, it's a problem. And so now we're not using local storage anymore. You're using something called cookies. And I'm just trying to tell you the reason. This is kind of like a projection of browser security, new updates they're releasing, getting ahead of the curve, and why we should stay away from old resources. Well, YouTube is quite a place to learn. If you know your way around, you get free things. It's been helping people, but yeah. So if you're able to form a course, for example, outline in ChatGPT or Cloudy or Perplexity, whatever AI tool or agent you use, you can go on YouTube and just search each of those things, each of those individual, like maybe for example, for project management, um, ChatGPT gave you a resource list. Says for project management, you have to learn software methodologies, software design, software principles, and all those things. Take the title, put it on YouTube, watch for that specific one, and you could do that progressively. But my fears, in terms of my experience, is you might not literally get the quality of message you're looking for. Sometimes it's people trying to make content. Sometimes you can't really trust the professionalism of the person speaking, because you really should know what knowledge to trust. Because if it takes you a lot of time to learn, it should be a knowledge that's going to stay for a while. And even if there is going to be an update, it shouldn't be a mission critical one that you have to wipe everything you know to learn a new thing. Coursera is one good place. Well, I haven't learned from Coursera. I sell courses on Udemy, and I also learned on Udemy as well. And I'll advise people to do as well. Well, because I've had first-hand experience with it. But I also heard that Coursera is good. Well, I'm not, I'm not aware if I am the best person to tell about that. But yeah, free code camp. Well, so, but another tip for Udemy is the code is in Ninja Code. Geez, I can't remember, but I should share it in the next class if I do. When you go on YouTube, get a particular person that does these courses, and just watch from them, follow from them. Watch if you could watch all of this in one place, like in one playlist, it's gonna be a good one. A lot of advertisement for Udemy and the rest. Let's move on to business. So, the, if you're learning and you're looking for getting visible, getting a job, improving yourself, you have to build your portfolio, real projects and certificates. If you in cybersecurity and you want to implement network policies or security policies, you have to think in your head where you have a CTO, a senior, or whatever, and you have to build an infrastructure. You have to implement, create the metrics needed to form a new policy. If you're a software developer, you have to do this as well. Create a project, a real world project. Well, not just any type. The specific projects that employers really want to see and they know that you have experience. Well, it's not just a business website. Could be things like website working with AI or ML. Could be a food delivery app. Could be you know app like WhatsApp. Well, who says you can't? It doesn't have to be 100% secured. Literally, it could be a personal project that could be improved, and that's a good thing. And also, you see a lot of things, programmers who share and write. That is also the learning process. Document your learning journey. Senior developers could learn something new, and they would write it. There is Mediums, there is Notion. You could create a personal blog. If you prefer Instagram or Twitter, keep on getting the word out there, and it builds your confidence towards what you know. You get other people who are on the same level as well and who are motivated, who could be motivated by you, or who could learn some things for you from you as well. If you are a senior or if you are even in the mid-level, a junior, you can always share something new. Everyone has impact. Show your impact. Oh, you did this. Well, not everyone can. No one who had gotten the skills you have, no one who had understood what you know can do that. So you can, and you have impact. Networking and mentorship, like I say, do not isolate yourself. tap into the hidden job market, find mentors and peer groups to save you troubles. I think the best way to learn from mistakes is to learn from others' mistakes. So people make the mistake for your behalf. There was a quote um, um, I had about books, why we read books. So we read. My dad always says we read books written by people who could be 100 years old, or people who wrote those books 100 years ago. So we don't have to get 100 years to know what they know. So mentors are kind of like the people who have done the mistakes and we're learning from them. They've done the research and they make life more easier. Yes. And I would encourage everyone to have a mentor. How do you get the mentor? Literally, if you see someone who's good, who's better in what you do, ask them, would you like to be my mentor? And it has to be with also finding what time they are available. I did it. There was a guy called Sagbomina. He's from Benin, I think. And towards my software development career, he mentored me in a lot of ways. He taught me things. He taught me things about organization policies. He taught me things about writing clean and maintainable code. He taught me about new technology. He sent me a message. I've used Alpine JS before. It's like, what's that? And then he starts. This is what Alpine does. This is what it is. And I'm like, oh, dude. It's like, oh, try to learn it. It's looking like a good trajectory. Well, I didn't know. I did. It's knowledge learned. Whether I used it to get a job or not, literally, I still appreciate the fact that I delved into that and the experience I had. And when I told him courses I was learning, he was like, "Well, that's good, but you probably doesn't don't need that," because he was a senior at that time, and he was also a product owner and a founder. He was, oh, you don't need to do that. I'm building a product in my team, and I have software developers doing it for me. And this I'm telling you was like 12, 15 years ago. And he says, look at look at the technology we're using. And sometime he offered me a job. Well, at that point, 200,000 or 300,000 naira in Nigeria wasn't really small. And he was like, if you can do this, let me know. And I did, and I delivered. And it was like, well, that's good. Would you like to work for me? And that was how I landed my first role. Now, not everyone's success story would be like this. When I did, I worked on him on a contract basis. And when I felt it was time to leave, I've communicated this with him. And he referred me as well to other people. He referred me to a job I did for a guy who was in Germany. And yes, that is WP Page Builder framework. It was a WordPress page builder framework at that time, which is still available up to date, and also on other projects like WP Opt-in, Mail, is a Mail Opt-in as well, and a whole lot of them. So that's a story about how my mentorship program was effective for me in particular. And yeah, common mistakes, tutorial loops. When you're watching a tutorial, make sure you finish one. If you want to learn about programming and you enter into programming and it's like variables in programming, make sure please make sure to watch all of it. If you feel tired, if you feel distracted, if you've got a brain fog at that time, sorry, permit me. So if you've had a brain fog at that time, which is typically distraction caused due to, you know, the human brain is always designed to lose focus after focusing on something for too long. It's a sign for you to stop. You don't have to push it further. You could just press pause and start in a more convenient time. Don't look tutorials. Don't hop from one tutorial to another without understanding it, because this time the difference isn't that it's not like saying or telling someone I have watched tutorials on how to be a project manager and I think sequel to that I am a project manager. No, it's not saying I've watched tutorials on Python and because of that, I am an AI or ML engineer. No, it is I am an AI and ML engineer, or I am a cybersecurity professional, specialist, because I can do this. And if you need it for your business, I'm the person for you. I am an AI ML engineer because of my problem solving skills, and I know how to use mathematical functions. I know how to use Python and good data analysis or analysis to solve problems that your business might need. And that's why you rush the tutorial. It gives you all the skill sets you need. You hear from people's examples, you hear from how people write clean, maintainable, and scalable codes. And yes, to the last stage of my meeting, which is the final thoughts and call to action. Start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. You already have a small laptop, use it. There's no, I need to buy a Mac 5 for M4 or M5. Please don't. Well, at some point you would need that, but not for beginners if you're beginning. And if your laptop could do the barest minimum, it can. Or if you have to uninstall some application, literally, please do. But what I'm saying is some people are stuck with the idea of I need to get the fancy laptop, or because my mentor or my tutor is using an M4 laptop, which is kind of like 2024 Mark, 28 gig unified memory with like 128 GPZ and probably like four four GPU cores with an option to upgrade for 80 gig terabyte RAM of ROM. It's not the criteria. People with fancy system who can't do much as well. So if you've got literally the oldest HP laptop that can turn on and install the required applications you need for your learning, do. If you've got to use a virtual computer, which I've seen people do, but really is not the best idea. Well, if that's the option you have, please do. Situations where you probably need a better laptop is when you are probably more into you've known what you've learned and you can implement. And then at that point, you would see the need for a better laptop. When you open an application you're using to code, and it takes like 1 hour to, because now you're no longer using Notepad. But when you start, you probably be using like Visual Studio Code, which is so light. And from experience, it can open on every laptop, unless the application is not opening for you. That's when I'd advise both of the people I've mentored directly to buy a new laptop, because don't get stuck in that. Wanting to have a new laptop, for example, I use an M4 and it cost perhaps £1,600, which is almost probably within 3.6 to 4 million naira to speak with you now. But because I could afford it and because I could earn that much. But when I started with a very like big box. They call it the box. Literally, if you put it in your hands, it comes all the way. Like literally, that laptop could be referred to as a weapon of mass destruction because I'm scared that if it lands on the ground, yeah, it might destroy the tiles, not the laptop getting hot. So literally, my point is that where you are at, and don't you don't need a very big machine. And that's pretty much it. Next class we'll talk about follow up, for the next session. And happy to see a lot of people still on the call. Udoka, you still here. Appreciate. And yes, I haven't spoken for so long without looking at the screen as well. Yes, so I'll leave that for Mr. Wiley to continue with the session.
Well done, Emeka. Well done to everyone. Thank you for that session. So, before I go into borderless and all of that, do we have any questions? I think let's give our participants opportunity to ask questions. Please, if you have any question, please can you signify by putting your hands up? Okay. Obianuju. Can I have the mic? You're muted, Obianuju. Estella. Okay, so while we're waiting for Obianuju to speak, I see Enoma Okungboa.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, please. I quite enjoy everything he said and how the the pipeline. I mean, the process is what you have to do and everything. But what I want to know is he's talked about the various aspects of tech, which area you're interested in. So when the main classes start proper, the area you're going to be interested, the area someone is interested in, is it going to follow in that area, be taught only in that area, or everything together? For instance, I'm interested in uh, data analytics or data engineering and AI or machine learning. Would that be taught only for me separately and someone that is interested in cybersecurity and all that? I just want to know how the classes will carry on.
Okay. Sawali, do you want me to answer or would you?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So in borderless tech particularly, um, there have been a lot of sessions in past sessions that have happened, particularly on AI and ML. I think you probably might have missed it or might have attended. But it was handled by was the Adeyemi Jonkun, forgotten her name. Yes, but if you join the group,
Fumito.
Omiton, yes. So if you join the group, I don't know if Sawali would be kind enough to share the link, and they're all documented. They're video sessions, like 4 videos. I saw it like 4 or 5, long enough for you to catch up. And also, you can also participate in a one-on-one mentorship by speaking to Mr. Wali. I believe the one-on-one mentorship should be structured and aligned with your time as well. So, but for this, my aim is trying to touch across everything. Like literally, I believe like in this session, people who perhaps weren't that skilled in software development or in tech or in project management can have an idea. They can know what they are doing. But my proficiency isn't in data, is in software development. So it's gonna be in respect to that. And in hopes that I could snatch you away to be a software developer instead. But I hope if that works. But if it doesn't work, it's more of setting the foundation, literally. Now you understand what you need to do, and now you understand what the hierarchy and all of those bits. So basically, still, if I can, because I tell you I'm a very bad salesman, and if I can't snatch you into being a software developer, Mr. Wiley should sort you out. Should add you to the group where you could get the free catch-up sessions when I believe there are also practical implementations you could learn, and also you can request a one-to-one, or you could also on board on the next call and see how you can create your own roadmap towards learning. And I think the most important thing about creating roadmap towards learning is understanding what you need to learn and what you don't need to, and how fast you also need to learn it.
Yeah, so thank you for that, Emeka. I don't know if that answers your question, Mr. Enoma. I know we've had previous conversations around this. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. So as I said, what Emeka is basically doing is cutting across all the different sections. Then after this, if you want I know you said you prefer a one-on-one class, a mentorship class. We can always work on that. But basically, what he's doing for these 4 weeks is an overview of everything that relates to tech.
Yeah, I understand. That's what I mean by that's what I'm actually mean after these 4 weeks. That's when you begin to develop, you begin to pick the areas in which you want to go into, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If I'm going to a specific area, will I be mentored differently or in that area with the people that are interested in that same area or everything together?
You've been
That's
mentored specifically on that area. Is there any particular area you've thought about at the moment?
yeah, data science, data engineering, analytics, and AI or machine learning as well.
Yeah, that's fine. That's like three in one, but data engineering, data science, AI, ML. But yes, to answer your question, that it will be specifically focused on that stack.
With the what?
I said to be specifically focused on what you want to learn.
Okay.
Yes, and
All
that's
right.
for the one-on-one mentorship.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, one-on-one mentorship. Yeah.
No problem, sir. Let's have the conversation
All
outside.
right.
Yes, sir. Obianuju, welcome back. I saw you left, you joined. Would you try unmuting now? Let's see if it will work.
Good evening.
Loud and clear, we can hear you. Good evening.
Okay, so I just want to ask a simple question, though I've asked one or two persons before, but the answer doesn't seem that straight. So I want to know if it's possible for me to get an advanced knowledge on my choosing area, like an area I choose to specialize on. Is it possible for me to get advanced knowledge using Udemy or YouTube, like learning through Udemy or YouTube?
Okay, Sawa, do you want me to pick that?
Yeah, go ahead, Emeka. That's all.
Okay, great. Now you can, and I did learn from Udemy and YouTube, but my advice literally is you also need a mentor, unless you've got titanium skin. I mean, you've got to set your priorities, right? You know what you want, and you got to set the right motivation. Probably getting a good job or earning a more salary perk. Literally, what I do sometimes is I'd advise you to, if you want to go into data science or ML, go on LinkedIn and search for that role, search for the salary perks. It tells you, it gives you a good motivation. If I am able to do this, and then I could be qualified to apply for this role as well as everyone else who would get them. Understand what stage you are, and based on what you've learned, entry level, mid level, and team lead. Udemy is nice. And one of the reasons why I recommend Udemy is because most of their courses undergo a very strict form of scrutiny to make sure the informations are updated and also to make sure that the teachers are qualified. Well, in terms of the quality of message, the video has to be crisp, clear, the audio has to be nice as well. They also have question and answer sessions. Yes, so you can also do on YouTube, but I wouldn't advise you to do on YouTube because YouTube, anyone could just set up a mic and start explaining about concepts that might not be true to the square. The same goes for Udemy as well. So it's also you still doing, you know, um, question Einstein, I call it. If you see something and you feel like you don't understand, you're confused. I think being confused is the first stage of learning. Because if you're not confused, well, you're not learning. You already know it. Yeah. So when someone's explaining this very new topic or new idea, you can't wrap your head about what application is this person using? How do we develop this? I don't even know what to do. I don't even know where to start. That's the first stage of learning. You're learning because now not everyone would ask that question, but you are asking it. And then when you try to figure it out one by one, you would get what you want. You would get the knowledge. So yes, you can use Udemy, you can use YouTube. Just make sure you're using the right source, the something trusted, and you know the right question to ask, and get a mentor who would give you more specific advice towards why and how questions, how and why questions.
Okay, thank you. So another question though. I want to know if UI is a totally different it's different from UX. Are they the same thing? Is it like something that works hand in glove, or you can just specialize in only UI and forfeit UX, or specialize in only UX and forfeit UI?
Okay, so it depends on the industry. So let's say, for example, you're into tech but into engineering and production. Mm? So you might be more about bound on UX and not UI, right? Because the idea of UI is more about the interface. And the interface is abstract. It's not something you can touch. Well, in user experience as well, you're not doing product design. Product design in engineering and in engineering and production is different. Product design is as to UI what UI is to software developer. I don't know if you understand. So product design is, for example, I've got a Sony mic. Well, this is a product that I've got a product designer, and the experience user people get from this is more of an analytic behavior than a code behavior. So it's more like saying you want to detach the analytic behavior from the implementation behavior. I don't know if you understand. And going to UX, you're more about the behaviors, the experience, and yes, you could do some research yourself. I wouldn't be someone who say I know it all. Literally, I know there are some people who are very good and who has a profession as a UX designer, but literally most of the time they come hand in hand, being a UI UX designer as well as being a UX user experience and product designer. So yes, but again, who says you cannot just be a front-end designer without being a front-end developer? Now, it's a new term, front-end designer, front-end developer. You design, you don't write code. You design the transition, the feel of how application, how users will use it and how they feel when they're using it. You've pictured how the login would be, how the account, how you edit your account, how you make payment from a bank app, for example, and then you could actually stick to that. There's also the same hierarchy being a user designer or front-end designer. Both words are the same. There's also a hierarchy. There's senior, there's junior, there's mid-level front-end developer, and then there is senior front-end designer, mid-level, and junior. Team lead works with everyone, front-end, back-end. I don't know if this answers your question.
Yes, yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you, Obianuju. Any other question before we round up for today? Any other question? Mr. Noma, did your hand come up again? I think I've seen your hand up. If
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay. During the mentorship phase now, like, okay, what's the end goal? Like, you learn these things, will be helped in terms of building LinkedIn profile, job seeking, and all that.
Yes, all of the above. It helps people who are completely new in tech
Yeah.
to transition into tech. It also helps you understand what tech skills you might probably need to learn. It helps you in understanding the key. Like I'm getting interesting questions from people. Particular, someone asked me, "Do I need to learn UX without UI?" And yes, it could be a product of now them understanding specifics within this. So yes, it helps. You could build your profile, you build your LinkedIn profile based on the knowledge you've gathered and based on the skills you will learn in and out of the course. If you understand. Now you can refer to this program with Borderless Tech as a mentorship program you're engaged in, internship program you're engaged in, whichever. Well, of course, with permission from Ogawali. But yes, it's more about accumulating the skill and understanding what you encounter in your journey towards transitioning into tech.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Emeka. Thank you, Solomon. Okay, so let's round it up.
I see Frederick raising his hand. Sorry, I don't know.
Oh,
Would
okay.
it miss that important question? Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead then.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Sir Frederick.
So I want to find out, you do mentorship for your students and you mentioned something about internship. Does that count as part of experience for us that are beginners? And then the second question I was going to ask, this session we're having, are we going to be certified for it or is it just a guide?
Okay, I'll leave that question for Ogawali. Or if you want me to take it up, I could.
So the certification aspect, I think that's the one I want to comment on. No, you're not getting certified for this. This is more like an intro sessions, basically. So transiting into tech for me is something generic. It's not something that I think a certification will be needed for. Is when you eventually go into picking a particular stack, that is when I think it's better off to come up with certifications. So certification for just this transiting into tech, the answer is no. What was the first question? Because I picked that second one. Sorry, what was the first one again, Frank?
No, Frederick, you are about the 50th person calling me Frank, but it's fine.
Sorry about
The
that.
question was about gaining experience in tech. Would the mentorship program be, sorry, the internship he mentioned, the one Emeka mentioned, would it be counted as a kind of experience for beginners?
I'm trying to get the best answer for that because the whole idea of mentorship is for you to have hands-on, one-on-one experience and also use it to understand the product more. So I've had instances where people are searching for job and they go for what they call a shadowing. Shadow basically means you shadow someone while the person is working to be able to understand how the job is being done. And that's just an example of mentorship. So to answer your question, I would say yes, that's the whole idea. It is part of experience towards whatever stack, whatever technology you're learning. So I don't know if that answers your question. Or Emeka, is there something I'm not answering?
Yes, that's it. This is just knowledge on the platter of gold. It's free knowledge. No one's paying, of course. Yes, but you cannot categorize this as something you get as that you if Ogo Wale was providing certificate for participation, that would have been his discretion.
Well understood.
Yeah, but this is specifically just free knowledge in a community where you know people are gathering to share their knowledge and seeing how they can also help others, as well as someday in hopes that you would be in this position sharing your experience as well.
Thank you. Udoka, over to you. Udoka,
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
good evening.
Okay. First of all, I'll say thank you to Emeka. It was a nice presentation, and this is my first time of joining you guys, and I think it's worth my time. My question, I just want to find out issue of a mentorship, how is it going to be? Is it at the end of the 4 weeks program that the mentorship program is going to come up, or how do we sort for it out? Because I'm really much interested in that.
Okay, Agawale, do you want me to take this?
Yeah, no, let me respond because you can go ahead, Emeka, sorry, I have a call.
Okay, so now in terms of the mentorship program, right? Like I said, in Borderless Tech, we've been organizing a series of programs in different specifics. There have been UI UX classes, I believe. If you've missed that, there was so much knowledge because I watched the video personally, and it was handled by someone who had serious knowledge about what they're saying and experience as well. And that's something to look out for. And if it's an aspect to the AI and ML, oh, I tell you, Fumiton is very experienced. If you check her LinkedIn profile, you'll be so happy and privileged to really be taught by her because I think she's actually working what she's saying in her current role. And as someone who's with AI and ML experience as well, like I said, when people talk about AI and ML, for me as a software developer, I'm not thinking about ChatGPT. I'm thinking about you building the GPT model, the LLMs using neural network. There's generatory adversary network. There's CMSC, which triplet loss network. There's convolutional network. And I myself have also been a contributor as well to some models in my most recent model, which was the generatory adversary network as well. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is literally, yes, you could get a one-on-one mentorship. You'd have to go through Mr. Wali. Like I said, he's the organizer of this program, and he will redirect you to the proper person, and he have the conversation with you. How much time do you have? And how much time do you have to spare on this, or how much time do you need to learn? And he tells you, oh, okay, we could do it this way. This is good for the company and this is good for you. And you are going to be having this kind of sessions. You'll probably be having PDFs, questions of what have you learned? Have you implemented? Do you think you need some help? You're also going to be having questions of, oh, I'm stuck in this. The privilege to say to someone, oh, I'm stuck in this. How can I unstuck myself? And you'll be getting that kind of like hand holding as well, which is very important. And yes, of course, it fosters the relationship. I believe, yes, on that note, I don't know how Ogawale is handling certifications and conclusion to that, but feel free to chat him up if you don't have his number. It's a good time to ask as well, so you don't miss it if you don't have his email.
Yeah, I think thank you for that. The question is if is in the group. If it's in the WhatsApp group, then it's easy to get my contacts because my contact is in the WhatsApp group. Udoka, are you in the WhatsApp group?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so you get my number there. Just
No.
check the admins there.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I want us to close the session, so I also need to run into another meeting. Thank you very much. Please let's appreciate Emeka with emojis, emoticons. Yeah, let's appreciate him. Thank you everyone. So the class is going to continue next week Sunday, same time, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. As I said, this class is brought to us by Borderless Tech. It's a platform that teaches Black kids coding. This adult classes is majorly corporate social responsibility to empower people. We basically teach adults, and at the end of the day, we even have one of you that ends up working with us. We have one of our tutors that did a UI UX class, a free UI UX class, and now she teaches with Borderless Tech. So we also give the opportunity for people to learn and also earn. I should have done this earlier, but I'm going to do it now. I'm sharing the social media handle of Borderless Tech. It's in the charts now. Please, if you can, just give us a follow. Would really appreciate it. If you can give us a follow, we'll really appreciate it. I'm just dropping it in the chat box now. Just dropping it there. Please, 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 would appreciate it. If you are also interested in the mentorship, I'm going to be sharing a link so that you can apply. You can apply for that now, and we can start the conversation. So I'm also going to share that. I should have shared these links, but it's fine. It's better late than never. Okay, so that's it. That's it. That's it. I'm gonna leave the meeting open for like additional 2 or 3 minutes so that we can get those links and click on those links. But if we're good, we can take our leave. Thank you very much, Emeka, once again for doing this. As I said, this is free of charge. Emeka is not charging us. This is in partnership with Borderless Tech. This is his own way of empowering adults in technology. Thank you, Emeka. We're not taking this for granted. We really appreciate you. Thank you, guys. Please follow us. Remember to follow our accounts. Once you've done that, you can take a leave. I'm going to stop recording also for this session. The link for the recording is going to be shared in the WhatsApp group. Do we have anybody here that is not in the WhatsApp group? Are you in this meeting? Are you not in the WhatsApp group? Anyone?